Good morning and welcome to today, Monday, January 29, 2024, the first day of the business week. My name is Unifor, your host on the program. Leadership is Inside Nigeria is a breakfast show where we showcase and highlight some headline stories on some national newspapers. Because as you can see, I have some newspapers for review on this first segment of the show, including Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership, a sister publication, National Economy. We have The Guardian, The Punch, and Vanguard, all for review on this first segment of the show. Without wasting much time, we go straight to Leadership. Leadership's leading story says military juntas in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso call ECOWAS Bluff, quit Bloc. Military juntas Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso call ECOWAS Bluff, quit Bloc. We have not been notified, says regional body. Nigeria orders greatest losers, says CSOs. Military juntas Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso call ECOWAS Bloc, quit Bloc. We have not been notified, says regional body. Nigeria orders greatest losers, say CSOs. The leading story today on Leadership. Beside that, we have minimum wage committee for inauguration tomorrow. And Fubara says, my battle's not yet over. Osun Prince arrested over killing of US professor. AFCON, Angola match will be tough, Pesero. Federal government admits impact of inflation, security threats on Nigerians. Federal government admits impact of inflation, security threats on Nigerians. The story is on page 8 of Leadership. And we have the photo on today's Leadership. The GMD Leadership Media Group with Martins Hotel of the National Lottery Regulatory Agency, a winner Shitu Tanko, Globalcom's regional head North Central Kemi Kezim Kaka, another winner Shola Dani, and Globalcom influencer Ken Eriks at the presentation of business class return tickets to Europe, Lagos, Paris, London, Lagos for the winners in the Glow Festival of Joy promo in Abuja on Friday. Obviously, this is the photo of today, of the day on Leadership. Winners of the Glow Festival Joy promo. Above that, we move to the stories about the masthead. Police arrest kidnapper who kidnapped her. Police arrest kidnapper who kidnapped her. Ondo 2024, Akeredolu wanted me to succeed him. Akinterinwa. Ondo 24, Akeredolu wanted me to succeed him. With that, we move to the page 3 of the paper, where we have probe terrorism financing now. Probe terrorism financing now is the editorial on today's Leadership, which takes us to the back page of the paper. Growing helplessness of Nigerians over insecurity. This is the Monday column with Dakuku bit aside. So for continuation of headline stories, the editorial inside stories back page, log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move over swiftly to the sister publication of the paper, National Economy. National Economy's leading story says new minimum wage. Stakeholders set agenda for federal government labor negotiation. New minimum wage. Stakeholders set agenda for federal government labor negotiation as workers express anger over delayed take-up. And of course, that's photo caption for that story says, we are workers, not slaves. Same National Economy, Nigeria eyes 21.5% inflation rate decline in 2024. And above the masthead of National Economy, will banks become tech companies to survive fintech challenges? You have to find that on this week's National Economy. And oil and gas, what lessons for Nigeria from Russia? These are the headline stories on this week's National Economy. For more, log on to the website of National Economy, www.nationaleconomy.com. From National Economy, we have Vanguard. Vanguard is still on ECOWAS story. It says, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger pull out of ECOWAS. We are ready for a negotiated solution, ECOWAS Commission. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger on suspension from ECOWAS presidency is a serious diplomatic meltdown, according to article. Headline story. Other story says, if Tinubu misses his opportunity, Nigeria is gone, per Adebanjo. Forest crisis, high import duty, depressed vehicle under other imports. Dealers lament poor sales, bleak 2024 predicted as Naira sinks deeper. Situation could get worse, Muda Yusuf. We move briskly to the sports. Sports story says CAF picks Osimhen for random drug test. CAF, Confederation of African CAF picks Osimhen for random drug tests. The Confederation of African Football has picked Nigerian international Victor Osimhen for a random drug test after his telling routine outing against Cameroon in Saturday's round of 16 match of the ongoing AFCON 2024. We move ahead to the masthead, and of course stories above it say federal government inaugurates minimum wage committee tomorrow. Corrupt governors responsible for insecurity, banditry in North, VP Shetima. Afenifere expresses worry over upsurge in kidnapping in Southwest. Others. Insecurity, we are taking fights to criminals den, federal government. And these are the headline stories on Vanguard. For more, log on to the website of Vanguard. Even as we move to the Guardian. Guardian's leading story is on the coup fallout, trade security concerns as Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso exit ECOWAS. Coup fallout, trade security concerns as Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso exit ECOWAS. And of course, beneath that leading story, we have the pictures of President Tinubu, the heads of the military juntas in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Beneath that, we have account for over 40 trillion allocations to FCT councils, Sarah test governors. Account for over 40 trillion naira allocations to FCT councils, Sarah test governors. US-based professor shot dead in Osun after party mob kills gunman. Petrol trading lifts NNPC's profit to $2.7 billion. Saudi Aramco declares $161 billion. Beware, COVID infections facilities still on the prowl. NRC announces return of Kano Lagos train service. Headline stories today on The Guardian. For more, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we move over to the last paper on our menu today, and that is The Punch. Punch leading story is different from the previous ones. It says kidnapping epidemic. The Punch has been on the story since 2 weeks now. Kidnapping epidemic. Tracking device shortage hindering police probes. Sources. Kidnapping epidemic. Tracking device shortage hindering police probes. Sources. The art of tracking devices causes delays in investigations. Arrest of abductors, say investigators. Beneath that, we have the story that broke yesterday. NDLEA declares beauty queen wanted, NAM's Brazil returning. And we have the picture of the beauty queen and the drugs that was impounded and coupled with the Brazil returning on the cover of The Punch today. 40 trillion naira local government allocations diverted by Governor Serap. 40 trillion naira local government allocations diverted by Governor Serap. Police arrest Abuja sister's kidnapper, recover 2.25 million naira. 8 kids scores missing as government sack Benue communities. Above the masthead of The Punch, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger yet to exit formally ECOWAS. As federal government appoints its governors to minimum wage panel. IRS demands Achimugu's tax returns after lavish birthday. These are headline stories today on The Punch newspaper. For more, log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. And this brings the first segment of the show to a close. My name is Winifred, but don't go away. Don't forget, we have second segment of the show coming up where we have our guest in this house. Stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Leadership TV for God and country.
Welcome. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, a breakfast show on leadership television. And my name once again is Winifred Igbobo. I have my Monday guest in the studio. He's a political economist and a public affairs analyst. Aliu Elias. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So how have you been?
Well, we are Nigerian and we are thanking God we are surviving.
Yes, we are surviving. That's the key word. Well, yesterday the news broke that heads of military juntas in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have co-opted to opt out of ECOWAS. And some papers have it today that ECOWAS is actually asking for negotiations. So what is the effect of their pulling out of ECOWAS? What will be the effect? Is it going to wither down the powers of this West African regional body?
Now, if you ask me, I think what they did is quite informal because there's a procedure for you to opt out of such a regional organization. So you cannot just opt out and say, yeah, I'm out of ECOWAS. No, it's not possible. So the major way of opting out is for them to write to ECOWAS, and they must give ECOWAS 1 year. That's what Mauritania also did to join the Sahel. So if you want to go out of ECOWAS, the expectation is that you must write to ECOWAS stating your reasons why you want to go out of ECOWAS. Then when you state your reason, after you state your reason, you still write. You wait for 1 year for ratification, just like what happened to Mauritania, like I said. So for me, I think it is expected because they are having issues. And I must tell you something. People are not looking one perspective. There is what we call pipeline diplomacy. It's now coming to bear in what is happening now. You look at Russia. Russia does not want any issue of pipeline to pass through Niger to move to Europe because Russia is the highest supplier of gas in entire Europe. So if you see that Tinubu is having meeting with Morocco and whatever, so they are trying to say no, don't allow them to. So it has a global dimension. However, I think the three Sahel, the Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, they need to just rethink because the conditionalities that ECOWAS actually gave them to them is that when you return back to democracy, come back to the ECOWAS. So that they are doing that, I think they're just jumping the gun because I wonder where they want to join. Do they want to join the Sahel itself, or do they want to start alone? Remember, even ECOWAS is under AU, so that's another condition for them. Would they be out of AU?
Would you say that piping the gas through Niger is going to suffer setback with this exit of Niger from ECOWAS?
That is the primary aim because once you don't have a good relationship with your neighbor, you cannot pass pipeline. Is not a small deal; it's a international deal that France have interest, America has an interest, then Russia also have interest. You also notice that if you notice, our president has been visiting France and he's calling it private visit. So now people are now the francophones are now looking at this. Yes, our enemy. You are making him friend and you are going there. So that means you are going to do. They even serve him while he was in France. I did not look at that. The president is in France.
You are seeing a relationship.
Yes, there's a relationship between all what is happening. Because Nigeria is a big country that even combine three countries together. I don't think they still have our size in terms of economy and population. So now they are now really meaning to it. And I must tell you, Russia is behind what is coming out, and Russia does not want any supply to Europe, because that's what they use to control Europe.
Now, like I asked in my earlier question, this pulling out, if it's not well attended to, face off is not mended, do you think it's going to have impact on ECOWAS? Will it whittle down its powers?
Well, the fact is that beyond, let's even look at Nigerian interest first. If they don't cooperate with us, we will suffer more insurgency, because there's an agreement between all these countries on security, on boundary issue and what have you, to suffer setback. Then for ECOWAS, this is a trying time for ECOWAS. ECOWAS was stood his ground, and remember, it's also happening when Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS, so a double challenge for him. So he must come in with diplomacy now. As I'm sure, as at now, ECOWAS has not received official documents from these three countries. It was just a media person to the president that just made mention of that. So ECOWAS has not seen it as an official information until they have the written document, and they say they are reading. And like I said, it has to be 1 year notification before you can pull out. So I don't think.
And also, these military juntas, these countries allege that ECOWAS is under foreign hands. That's been hijacked. How true is that?
Yes, if you ask me, I just mentioned 3 things now, or 2 rather. Our president is dining and whining with France. America and France also have interest. Remember, this country are under France, but they don't want a policy of assimilation. They want to move out from it. So it has local dimension, international dimension. So all these things are coming out at a time. So for me, I'm not a prophet of doom. I also see them being overthrown, because that's another thing. So if these people also have their own interest too, it can also be sponsored. You have experience in Nigeria when one military government will take over from another military because of certain interest. So the interest is becoming much more serious. I remember even Tinubu was saying they will go to war then, but it has to calm down because of leadership. And we have also local problem then, where the northern part are looking at it as a kind of a problem. Even up to now, they are looking at the trade relationship that is happening before, that's whittled down, but it's going to go worse now, because Niger, we just have to we want to stood their ground, and we have boundary issue. So my one major issue, let us not escalate to have more wars, more insurgency in our nation. So I think Nigeria need to stand their ground, and maybe reinforce our forces to be at alert.
Now, thank you so much. Now, just before we leave that this ECOWAS issue, how do you expect the ECOWAS and even its chairman, which incidentally is President Bola Tinubu, how do you expect them to resolve this issue?
Well, first and foremost, there should be ECOWAS meeting, which we review. But the problem is that it's not official. But unofficially, they can also have a kind of a review of what is happening, because you recall that Nigeria was servicing Niger electricity before. Because of that issue, it was withdrawn. So a lot of things has come into however, the totality of African countries are still more than, or even regional, we're about 13 if you remove those 3. Is that not so? So if you remove them, we are 13 or 12, we still stand our ground. So that's it. If at all, I didn't mean we are spreading maybe echo. We're having a uniform, currency in Africa. Nothing much that really will affect, because there is no aside from relationship in trading, there is no other thing. So I think it is not a Nigerian issue. It is more of ECOWAS issue, and it has to have diplomatic approach. You know why? The thing has degenerated to the extent that these 3 countries do not want to hear anything France. That's the problem, and France is their colony
that they want to break away from.
Exactly. So they want to break away from France, and they see you when and dining with the same France, and it also have international colors. So for me, I think ECOWAS should just let them know, because 1 year is a long year. That's why they give it 1 year. So let ECOWAS request official information from you. So by the time between that 1 year, a lot of things must have happened.
Anyway, just before we also go, because you made mention of the processes they have to go through before they can actually withdraw their membership. Can you actually whip somebody into line to belong to a regional bloc when the person obviously is not interested?
As it is now, I didn't even remember. They are suspended already.
Okay, they
are suspended already. So these 3 countries are actually suspended. So for them to say they now withdraw, it just doesn't have any bite. If you want to withdraw, write officially and give ECOWAS 1 year. After 1 year, ECOWAS will now come out with their, and perhaps, like I said, 1 year is a long year. Process. There could have been another overthrow. There could be a lot of things could have happened within that 1 year. I think it's quite interesting to have that 1 year. 1 year means a lot.
Thank you so much. Now we are moving briskly ahead, talking about new minimum wage. Leadership also has it on his story that on his cover, minimum wage committee for inauguration tomorrow. And our sister publication, National Economy, has this as its main headline story. New minimum wage stakeholders set agenda for federal government labor negotiation. What are we going to have tomorrow? Because tomorrow we are going to have inauguration. Meanwhile, NS is already agitating for about 200.
Well, if you ask me, I think, like I always said, these governments are becoming a rhetorical government. You know, I don't expect them to get to this level before they will work on the minimum. Because I have listened to President Tinubu, who said that he's going to give living wage, not minimum wage. So we should have seen those actions, because nobody needs to be told that they deserve to have more wage, because things are just very, very expensive. Imagine someone getting 30,000. How is he going to manage survive? Is it to buy a bag of rice, or to buy beans, or to buy? So these are the things that, you know, they will say that they have access to this. They can actually do what they want to do, and it also brings negativity. You know, and poverty is deepening the more. So if you have settled civil servant, how many are even they compared to other workers? Because most people in private sector are saying, if you are saying you want to cater to public. And how many are they? Totality of people that work in public sector, add government, add state and federal, they even up to 10 million compared to other like 90 million people working. So it's not about them again, it's about them setting the agenda. That's also, for me, I think it's a normal thing. If you look at, there's a particular year that the minimum must be reviewed. That's what actually happened. But what I'm just saying is that this president shouldn't have allowed them to even come to this level. Should have called them.
However, NLC was proposing about 200,000 naira. How realistic is that?
Well, as an economist, the thing is, now we have serious inflation. And increasing salary, it's another thing. To definitely have its own impact. But for me, I think if we have 150,000 as a minimum, or is it living wage, we call it, because of the economy, I think it's a good one. But the problem is that it has a multiplier effect. That's the effect. So, because President Tinubu made mention that he's going to make sure we have food security and declare it. In fact, the Minister of Agriculture is even Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. Until we work on that, you know, they said they are going to do the all-round season farming, and that starts also late. So that's my problem. So we need to do more on this, and like I always said about this government, most of their things are always coming very late, and they'll be doing it in rush. So they have to like look at it, because when they became president, they saw the problem. You remove the fuel subsidy, you know, you float the naira. You should have known that there is hardship. So they shouldn't have asked for it. You should have just meet with them, because now they are going to negotiate higher. Compared to if you call them and say what you're supposed to negotiate, don't worry, come on time, let's have it now.
So what are we going to expect? Because at the end of the day, if there is no cohesion, if there's no agreement, that means Nigerians should prepare for another round of strike from NLC.
I do not think there will be a strike, because it's a normal period for them to negotiate for new minimum wage. So it doesn't call for any strike. Government has known that, yes, it must be increased. Our challenge now is that we must come with economic reality. If it's even beyond the labor NLC now, it's an economic issue. What is the realistic amount that people can take home that will survive them? Because if you ask me now, transport is quite expensive, so it's 150. I don't think we can do less than 150.
But what about the impact it's going to have on the economy? We are talking about inflation rates skyrocketing, food prices. So what impact? Because once those sellers, those traders know that, oh, civil servants are not anymore, they are also likely to jack up their prices.
Now, it is the inflation now that is causing the increment, remember. Now, because purchasing power is now very poor.
Very poor.
So if you have 50,000 and you go to market, you cannot even buy or survive for 10 days. These are the problems. So in reality, government must do more to have availability of food. You know, but that they will not increase, they will definitely increase. And we are not in a military government that you can do price control. So you cannot do price control. So you just have to leave it to the buy.
Market forces.
Exactly, just like what we do in our is it naira floating, willing buyer and willing seller. What a problem.
No problem. Thank you so much. Now we are still talking insecurity issues across the country. Of course, the Punch is not letting on. Punch for 2-3 weeks now has been on kidnapping epidemic, and the leading story says tracking device shortage hindering police probes. Sources and the art of tracking devices causes delays in investigations, arrest of abductors, say investigators. This is also on the backdrop of the fact that leadership also has his leading story on police arrest kidnapper who killed Nabiha. Remember the sisters that were kidnapped 3 weeks ago that caused in Buhari.
I think the issue of insecurity, let's look at just Friday till now. Have you heard the number of kidnapping that were experienced? Police was kidnapped,
yes.
Deputy VC was kidnapped, PDP chairman was kidnapped in Lagos.
Exactly.
So that means we have degenerated to that level that it becomes normal thing. So we must rejig and we must do a lot of things. And I don't like the way President Tinubu is handling it. When he came, I was thinking he's somebody who will say, if you don't perform, you'll be kicked out. Because if he has given that kind of example of performance, people would have just changed their style. We need to do more, honestly, and we need to go beyond our physical thing. We need to go to the moon, if it's to going to the moon, to fix our satellite and see what is actually going on. If there's a kidnapping in a particular environment, it's quite easy. Go on internet, go on satellite, locate these people where they are, then go launch an attack or do other means that you want. Perhaps if they have noticed that you have captured them, they would have even surrendered by themselves. But we are not going to that non-kinetic approach, which is very, very important. Because, and perhaps, I don't know the work of DSS or SSS, we call it anymore. It's becoming, before, when there is any issue, they will go in, do their findings. In fact, let's even look at is it Ondo bombing or that church bombing?
Yes, it's Ondo church bombing.
They went in and discovered those people that actually do that. So I don't know why we keep on, finding it difficult to discover these kidnappers. I'm happy that this one in Buhari was they have done the damage.
The damage, yes.
Already. So exactly there must be intelligence. Intelligence must be there. So we must work on our intelligence, and if they are to recruit more, so that people, after all, you know all this volatile area. I can tell you in Abuja today, the most volatile area is Buhari. It's just Buhari, and we know that because it have a link with Kaduna Road.
Yes.
Kaduna Road, it has a very serious linkage. So we can really work on that. Those people that live at that area, I can tell you they cannot sleep again. It's becoming serious.
Even
I can tell you,
city centers,
I'm telling you, they just released one woman 15 million, just released another person 60 million. You're just, it's not now a common phenomenon. So we just have to do
my
something.
take on this is that Ali, how come is now they are talking about tracking devices? Because ordinarily, when I know of people who use their phones and they go to police stations, police, you give them some amount of money and they're able to track and get your phone for you. How come they are not being able to use this? We talk about SIM registration. Remember SIM registration? We have NIN, we even have BVN. How come police, they are not able to deploy this technologies? That's my worry.
During Buhari, you recall Lapantamibu came out and said everybody must have is a BVN or NIN. You know all those things.
And
so
register your NIN to SIM.
I think there is is it complacency? I'll call it on the side of government. Government is not taking this thing as it's supposed to be. This is not news that we should be hearing. That's why when sometimes the police IG came out and say we are doing this, or Lagbaja, the military people came out and said we don't need all those rhetorics. Do underground work, get the device, because this is what ordinary private company can provide. So if you know you cannot do it, engage some private company. They will be doing this research and locating things for you, and it will be very, very easy. So if it's difficult for police or they are not well trained to that level, it's easy you engage some private hands to achieve it. The main thing we need is to get our security right. So once you get it right, I think we can move on. So it's very, very key. So I think our police, if they need to be trained, let them be trained. If they need to get divided, perhaps if you look at the budgetary allocation of these people, it's quite very high. But we are not seeing results as it's supposed to be.
No, my thought on this is that, like I'm asking you, what stopped them now from getting or purchasing these tracking devices?
I don't think anything is stopping them. I don't think anything is stopping Nigerian police on purchasing tracking device. One, the fund is there. You understand? The sellers are there. You can even personalize and do local that feel our local terrain. So I think it's not a problem. The only thing is that the body language of Nigerian police has to change, because when police when do you watch, there's a trending video where police arrested a kidnapper and now say my boys will come for you.
Oh yes,
he said my boys will come for you, they'll come and deal with you.
When they arrest
just
me,
1 year I'll be back, they will release me very soon. Imagine that audacity. It's quite appalling.
I saw it.
It's quite that means police are degenerated, that they know that if they get there they will find their way out again. Perhaps somebody has advocated that if you caught any kidnapper, kill that kidnapper, because by the time you eliminate that kidnapper, yes, others will see it as a lesson. And that's why you see some Islamic country, you hardly see all this type of problem, because once they caught you, and they find that this is what you actually do, people like Saudi Arabia, they will just kill you. In fact, in China, it's still obtainable.
Yes, many people are actually proposing for that, those kind of stringent laws to curtail these
it's very important.
Criminal activities and corruption in the country. Perhaps what do you see to that? Because from there was a day I was actually mulling on some of these countries that have these Islamic laws. Criminalities is few.
You can't even find
virtually
it.
Non-existent.
But the thing is that we are every of our thing is always dilute with political interest. Ethnos, when this person they cause from particular ethnic group, other people will come out and say, no, this is our person. You don't do that. If it's this person, you wouldn't. And we must move from that primordial sentiment so that we can really have a better. But it's still up to the president. If the president said no, go ahead. It's a problem. Just like what we have recently now. The president also have limit to what he can do, which is very, very sad in Nigeria. CBN move your operation some department to Lagos. It becomes so difficult. Then I say begin ethnic color. It becomes a problem. You don't say, wow, what kind of country are we? It is crystal clear that all Nigerian banks headquarters are in Lagos. So it's so sad that you now have to travel from Abuja to Lagos like every now and then, expend Nigerian money, when you can have a physical office and they will just send a mail of report down to Abuja. It's quite funny.
Even the former CBN governor Sanusi had to come out to give some clarity on the issue, that it was actually during his tenure that he proposed it. Apparently, he couldn't carry it out.
That's one of his legacy, or one of his legacy. You always come out at the critical time to really douse tension and bring the facts.
And that he has already set things in place to actually to actualize that. But unfortunately, before he left office, he couldn't carry that. And that besides is the best thing.
It's the best thing to do.
Now we are still talking about insecurity issue on Vanguard today. Shettima, the Vice President of Nigeria, says corrupt governors responsible for insecurity, banditry in North. Do you share his
I think I quite agree with him, because if you look at the history of Boko Haram itself, remember it was during SARS, Ali Modu Sharif, when he was, he tried to have his own security. By the time he withdrew from them, they established themselves. So if you look at that, poverty itself is a problem. You also recall that Lamido, yes. Lamido also said Nigerians are too poor to revolt. You remember that language?
Yes.
That means they have put Nigeria in abject poverty. Nigeria has been subjugated to that level that you cannot, because a organizer who need a day money, how will you go and meet a pepper seller in the market and let us fight for our right? What right do you have to fight? And if you look at the Nigerian economy again, another sad reality is that the middle class have been eradicated. Exactly. It is neither that you are rich or you are poor, which is a serious problem. Any country that is experiencing that is a serious problem, because if you look at the UK, US, all people middle class, people are mostly in that middle class. So I think he's right to an extent that poor living is a problem for criminality.
I talked about corrupt governance. How come every government in place keeps talking about corrupt governance, and at the end of the day, before they leave the office, they are no better.
But he is a subject of that too now. And that's one thing people need to know. This Tinubu government is much more of government of the elite, because he was a senator, was a governor, vice president, a senator, a governor. A lot of them, look at the senate president, a senator, a governor. All these people have passed through this stages. So when you now say governor is corrupt, what are you doing to governor is corrupt? Perhaps you must have corrupt also during your but now you have escaped it. Why don't you do a solution? So I think we just need solution. All this rhetoric is not what we need. He as the vice president, perhaps it could be like the chairman of the governor, sort of in terms of economic and what have you. What is he doing to make sure our 774 local governments are functional? So until our local government are functioning, I don't think Nigeria can grow, because that is where development starts from.
And you also have to tackle this insecurity,
right?
Because which happens in the grassroots area. Thank you so much, Ali. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Well, viewers, you've had the pleasure of having in leadership today as our guest, a political economist and a public affairs analyst, Ali Elias. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
So tomorrow is another day. 12 today we have news at noon. Don't forget to log in there for your news. Until I come your way again, same time, same station tomorrow. Here's wishing you a beautiful day. My name is Winifred Igwebo. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080 3688